This is the cuff that we're going to be hemming. We need to take 3.5 inches off. Now, that's the total amount that we want to lose. Because this cuff is a bit larger than most denim cuffs, typically they're going to look more like this, we have to be a little bit more careful with how we measure this. So, and the other thing about it is, normally we would have a seam allowance. You might have 1/4 of an inch, you might have 1/2 of an inch, depending on what you're sewing. But for this purpose, we're gonna be sewing right up to the edge of the existing hem. So we're not really gonna need a seam allowance like we typically would. Maybe a little bit, but not too much. So instead, because we need 3.5 inches, we're just gonna go ahead and add this extra inch right here, which would make it 4.5. So that's gonna be the measurement that we're gonna be going with today. So this is the line at which we're gonna actually be sewing on. And then our finished hem will drop about 1 inch below that because that's where this will be. So if you wanna just look at that one more time, what's gonna happen is we're gonna sew kind of where this line is, right where that one is. And then when it's done, it's gonna fold down like this. So we'll add that extra inch there, which will bring us back down to 3.5 because this is 4.5 currently. So we're gonna match this line right here with this line right here. And that's gonna be where we're gonna sew. So there's our line right there, and that's what we're matching up with. And when you have that done, and you've got a nice even hem, the next part to this is turning this and making sure that we're getting these side seams matched up. So we're gonna go ahead and pin this. So when we go ahead and stitch this, we'll be just using our zipper foot to stitch right along this edge and make it look as seamless as possible. So first things first, we're gonna go ahead and switch to our zipper foot. This zipper foot actually allows for me to move it left or right. I'm gonna start right here. So we're just gonna take it slow. And take out your needles as you go. So when you get here, sometimes you need like a little helper, which you'd stick in the back of this prior to sewing. But for me, what I do is I kind of push and I just gently walk this machine down. And that helps the feed dogs grab the fabric and move it through. And once you get through it, you can just keep going. Okay, we're coming up on that next part, which is where we're going to carefully go over the bulk. We're going to make sure we get it nice and even here. And then we're just going to use our machine to start it. And then I'm just going to start walking it from here. So the next step to this is to actually cut the fabric. I grab a really good pair of scissors for this because this is some thick material, and you're just going to go. If you want a nicer cut, you can use a straight edge. And then we have two more things. We need to reduce this bulk, okay, because flipping that over, that's a lot to try to deal with. So that's going to be one. And then we need to finish these stitches because they're going to want to fray, like that, and we don't really want that. So we just grab a seam ripper, and all I'm going to do is take out this front part. And this is on the raw side, not our finished side. I'm just going to get out a little bit of it, like that. And you'll want a really good pair of scissors for this, otherwise it'll be very difficult to get in there. I'm just going to cut that chunk off, okay? So that takes a lot of that bulk out. And we're going to flip it over and do the back as well. And so now when we flip this over, it doesn't have so much to overcome because that bulk has been reduced so much. Next step we need to do is we want to take this front hem, we're going to cut this a little bit shorter. So the front was at about 1/2 of an inch. Now we're going to take the back was at 1/2 inch. We're going to take this front one down to about 1/4 of an inch. And then finally, you now have this difference, okay, between these two. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my foot pedal over here to the zigzag pedal, and we're going to go ahead and just line our foot pedal right up to the side. So it's going to look like this. And we're just going to run it all the way down, doing a zigzag stitch the full way through. Tuck that under there and match the foot pedal right up to the edge. And then we can just go ahead and so what that's done is it's gone ahead and locked this fray from happening. You can go through now and clean that up a little bit if you want. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. So what's going to happen is you're going to use your iron on high, maybe steam. I like to spray mine with water. And you're going to start by just pushing everything up. Should be facing that way, not down. And we're going to iron this out once. And then now, because we're going to iron it again, is when your hammer comes into play. Because there's still a lot of bulk hiding throughout here. And that hammer will really flatten things out, as well as the new stuff. And iron it out. I'll show you the two side by side. So now these pants can actually be worn instead of kept in the closet. That's it for this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe to Mr. Home Ec on YouTube and share a link with a friend. If you're interested in more content, you can find Coyle Smith Education on Instagram, and all of our educational resources are available on Teachers Pay Teachers. If you like what you hear, you can also check out the Coyle Smith Education Podcast on your favorite podcasting app.